Okay, so in this project we provide a new mechanism that explains how immigrants choose to locate within the host country. And we start from the simple observations that a part of the income that immigrants earn in the host country is spent in their origin country. So one channel for this could be remittances. So immigrants send some of their money to their family members in their home country where they spend the money. Another channel could be savings. So immigrants save some of the income and spend it in their home country after return. And this possibility of substituting local consumption with consumption in the origin country implies that immigrants are less affected by high living costs compared to natives. Or in other words, when natives might be indifferent between living in a city with low wages and low living costs or a city with high wages and high living costs, immigrants might strictly prefer the latter. So in the first part of the paper, we document a range of empirical facts that support this idea. The first of these facts is that immigrants are more concentrated in more expensive cities relative to natives. So of course this might be related to other factors than just the price level there. Of course this might be related to other factors. It might be that labor demand for immigrants is higher in these cities. So we try to control for this by estimating a flexible specification where we control for the labor supply of immigrants to natives, where we control for education and experience. And after controlling for this, we find that still there's a strong relationship between immigrant concentration and city price levels, and also wage gaps and city price levels. So the more expensive a city, the higher is the wage gap between natives and immigrants. So immigrants are less compensated for the higher living costs in more expensive cities. And we argue that this is because this possibility of consuming in their home countries means they need to be less compensated for high living costs because they have means to avoid them. And the third fact is that these two patterns are stronger for immigrants coming from cheaper countries. And we argue that this is because the motive to consume in the origin country is stronger if it's relatively cheaper. And the final empirical pattern that we document concerns directly consumption. So we find that immigrants consume around 12% less than natives in total, locally. And 5% of this difference is due to housing. So even conditional on income and household size, they spend around 5% less on housing. And to explain these facts, then in the second part of the paper, we set up a spatial equilibrium model, where the only difference between natives and immigrants is that the latter can consume at their home country at different price levels. And now in this model, cities have different productivity levels, and the more productive ones can attract more people, more workers, and become more expensive. And now with immigrants, these cities become even larger because immigrants are less affected by these high price levels, so they have high incentives to go there. So the first result of the model is that immigration contributes to the disparity in living costs across cities and also in wage levels across cities. And this is something we have seen in the US also, and also in other countries during the last years. And the second main result of the model is that because these more productive cities become relatively larger with immigration, overall productivity of workers goes up. And this in the end leads to a welfare increase. If we compare population growth by natives or population growth through immigration, we find that the latter increases welfare by around 0.6% more. And basically this sums up the findings of this paper.